Can the Senate revive its health care bill? Because again, this also, let's get down to brass tacks here. This is also an issue of spending versus raising revenue through tax increases. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Republican governors from the states like Ohio, you heard from John Kasich at the top of this hour, Nevada, and Arkansas are pushing back on the health care legislation, the repeal and replace plan, citing concerns over Medicaid funding cuts. Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price addressing insurance concerns last week during an interview on Mornings with Maria.
Just yesterday, it was announced that 14 of 17 counties in Nevada will have no insurance provider on the exchange next year. This is being repeated state after state after state. So the challenge is that we've got to make certain that we improve this market, improve it for patients and families and doctors to be making medical decisions, and not Washington, D.C. And there are ways to do it. The Senate's working on it, and I think that they'll get it done.
Joining us from the White House is Press Secretary to Vice President Mike Pence, Marc Lotter. Mark, if you listen to some of these Republican governors and even some of the senators from states that accepted the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, they're crying hard times. They're not talking about actually cutting the spending. They don't want to take some fiscal responsibility in managing this. I mean, how do you react to that?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me on. I think one of the key points of the Senate bill that's currently going through there is that governors who believe that there's a better way to deliver Medicaid services in their state will be given the flexibility to do that. And that's really what we're talking about here on the Senate bill under President Donald Trump, is not having a one-size-fits-all mandate coming down from Washington, D.C., but actually giving states flexibility so they can innovate. They can address the specific needs of the residents in their states, and that's the kind of leadership, that's the kind of partnership that we need with the states. Let them innovate, let them come up with unique solutions to the problems facing their states, and trusting them to be able to do that.
Well, some of the pushback that you're hearing from even some Republicans regarding the Senate bill in particular is they want a longer amount of time for the kind of transition from the opening and entitlement of Medicaid to the block grants. They want more time, and they want a more generous formula as to how that funding is calculated. Do you think that that is something that's going to happen in terms of getting together a bill that Republicans can get on board with?
What we're seeing right now is the legislative process working the way it has always done. So the Senate right now is scoring a couple of different bills. They're looking at different options. And just like we saw in the House of Representatives when they needed just a little bit more time to eventually reach a compromise, you're going to see these kinds of issues discussed in the Senate as they work to come up with a piece of legislation that can get the votes needed to pass the Senate. Then we'll get it through the House and get it on President Donald Trump's desk to sign. But the key here is not just what is going on in the legislative process. It's really making sure that we stay focused on the end result, which is the fact that Obamacare is failing. Millions of Americans are at risk of losing their health insurance right now due to the collapse of the exchanges. The Vice President has heard countless stories from people who maybe have an Obamacare card in their wallet, but the payments cost more than their mortgage, and no doctors and hospitals in their areas are going to take it. So that's not really insurance at all. What we need to do is bring back competition, bring back free market, innovation, lower health care costs for everyone, and also improve access at the same time.
John, as we go to your question, I'll point out that more than 40% of counties in this country will only have one health insurer in these exchanges next year, and there are 49 counties that won't have any insurers next year.
Well, so Mark, I wanted to talk taxes with you for a second. There's talk in the Senate right now of allowing these Obamacare investment tax increases, 3.9% surcharges in investment taxes on dividends and capital gains, to remain in place as some sort of compromise to get a bill advanced. Is that a starter or a non-starter for the administration?
Right now, what you're seeing is the Senate working through that legislative process. Obviously, there are various members in the Republican caucus that have differing ideas on how best to deliver this. What we're focused here at the White House is making sure that end result is what we meet, and that's the president's goal of lowering the health care costs for Americans and improving access. The process, how the Senate reaches that compromise, that's something that they're going to work through. The White House continues to be in discussions with them on the various proposals. But at the end of the day, the one thing that unites the Republicans across the board is that Obamacare is failing, and it's something that we have to address now because too many Americans have no choice for health insurance, or maybe one choice, which is no choice at all. And those are the kinds of things that we've got to address quickly.